and I'm Leo. Welcome to number 10 in our beginners classes. Can I just say, before we start, okay, that you're going to need to have either a yoga belt. Don't worry if you haven't got a yoga belt. Take a dressing gown cord or a piece of rope, or even a tea towel, something like that, so that you can use it if you need it.
And all the poses that we're going to be putting together today are really specific for inversions. So they will build strength in the abdomen and the upper body. I'm going to start in Gomukhasana, so let's have you standing up on your mat.
So you will be coming to inversions, upside down poses at some point. Not today, but these help to prepare the body for it.
Yes, absolutely. So we just turn Leo to the side. Yes, that's good. This is when we start to bring a little bit more mobility into the upper body. So first of all, we're going to take out the right arm out to the side. So what we need to do, when the right arm goes out to the side, this needs to go onto the other side.
Good start.
Good start. Just because she doesn't use this very often. All right, so extending with this action. Good. Reach in. So you've got to reach to the fingertips. And remember, if you want to get rotation in the shoulder socket, then you need to create some space for that. So all of these muscles really need to elongate so much so that you get this rotation. So Leo's going to show you the action now in the inward rotation. Yeah, that's great. So you can see there, the arm comes round. It's an enormous rinsing of muscles there. And then bending the elbow, and it may be that some of you will find it quite challenging to take the arm up the back even. It may be that you're down here. We're complete beginners. Some complete beginners find this very difficult, some find it easier. Depends on the mobility. If you're finding it quite challenging, then as Leo said, you can use a tie, a yoga belt, even a towel actually would be all right, and even a bath towel or something to put over the shoulder. All right, then raising the opposite arm, left arm. And what's really important about this action is that you rotate the arm towards the ear. So you have this really nice alignment going on, this rotation. And then do not lose the length in the upper arm, but hinge at the elbow joint. Yes, so you see here, Leo can catch her arms really nicely. So this is Gomukhasana. Now this is just the first stage. Once you can get into this pose, if you're holding on to the belt, this is fine. You've got to see the broadness come. So the broadness comes from the inner collarbone out and the shoulder rolls. So just be mindful that you just go to where the body can go to, and gradually, you chip away to create more mobility in this area. So just be in this pose for a few moments, lifting the chest, extending through the arms to the elbows. Okay, we're going to change sides now. So same thing, other side. So you can go a little bit quicker if you found that was fairly easy to do, then go a little bit quicker. You may be quite close to the wall. Leo is here, but you've still got to get this length before you extend that arm. So rotate that left arm, rotate, and then bend the elbow and take the arm up. Good. It may be that you still need to have the belt. Sometimes you find on one side it's okay, on the other side it's not. Sometimes we vary. That's the imbalance, that's the measurement, that's how we know where to work a little bit more intensely. So just see where you are with this, and then reach up with your right arm. And then hinge at the elbow. Leo was just showing you that action of rotating. Keep that going. And once you've caught either the belt or the hands, then see that you get the broadness across the collarbones. And be sure that that left shoulder has enough space that you can get the rotation in the shoulder, the arm moving back. So very important. And lifting the chest, breathe through the nostrils. So just be there absorbing the action into the body and breathe in through the nasal passage. And now release it. Okay, and just standing Tadasana. So you're not going to need your belt now. We're coming for Paschimottanasana. And if you found it's quite challenging, the previous pose, then you may find that this is also fairly challenging, but don't give up. When you have a way of starting this pose, Paschimottanasana, so firstly you're going to cross your arms behind your back. And it may be this is the stage that you stay at until you get the length and the mobility in the shoulder from the previous action. So see that the elbows are weighting down, but don't let the whole body drop. You've got to see that the elbows weight down, but the upper body, the chest, the upper chest lifts up so much. Yes, so you get some work in this area. And now if you can, take your hands into prayer behind your back. So this is one of the most challenging things if you've got stiff shoulders. You may find quite a bit of restriction in the wrists, which are quite difficult to work at. But be patient, work with your arms crossed and gradually come into this action. If you're able to practice the prayer position in this position, then dip that little finger into the center of the back here. As you can see, Leo is working very strongly and unfolding these shoulders, so really coiling around and opening the chest. Good. And then release it. Lifting your sternum chest and stand in Tadasana. So you may have found that was quite challenging. You just take a few moments to release the tops of the shoulders, just let the arms release down, and at the same time lifting your chest up. So we come for our forward facing standing pose, which is Paschimottanasana, and this is going to involve some of this work. So Leo's standing in the centre of the mat, just standing Tadasana. Now I'm going to ask you to either take your arms into the prayer position behind your back or folding the arms behind your back. Yeah. So don't worry if you're not at this stage, this will come. You just need to be consistent with your practice and it will come and the mobility will become a little easier. Okay, so you're going to take the legs wide, jump or step. We're going to your right side first, so turning your left foot in and turn your right leg out. So sometimes this can be quite difficult with the balance, so try to keep those legs absolutely lifted, pulling up with the knees, lifting out of your pelvis and rolling your shoulders back and down. And again, if you've got your arms folded, that's absolutely fine too. Take a breath and lead with your chest and hinge at your hips. Yes, press into your fingers, keep the opening in the collarbones, draw your abdomen, come just halfway. Now, if you can go further and keep in the back nice and long and extended, then that's fine. But if this is as far as you can go to, just come halfway, maybe a little bit further if you can, but don't start putting your head down onto your thigh or your shin. It's the body that needs to elongate across that front leg. Press those hands or hold strongly with your fold and take a breath in and come up. Okay, so it's the hardest thing, coming out of the pose, to keep those legs really strong and pulling up into the sockets. And turning the feet and coming into Paschimottanasana to the other side. Turning the feet. So I'm going to just move now, otherwise I'm going to be hidden away. So, lifting up with the sternum chest. Soft inhalation and exhalation. Keep that steadiness. I want you to see that you work from the base up. So be sure that you're planting the soles of the feet down really strongly, filling that earth. And lifting up through the legs, lift up through the pelvis, roll your shoulders back and down, and hinge at the hips. Hinge at the hips. Soft inhalation, exhalation. Keeping that action, keeping the abdomen lifted. And again, If you can come halfway, fine. If you can go a little bit further, fine. But don't stop putting your head onto your shin, even if it was possible. It's got to be the whole length of the abdomen that needs to extend along that thigh. Okay, look forward, collarbones lifted and coming up. Stepping the legs out of the pose, turning them forward and bringing the feet together. Good. And releasing the arms and standing in Tadasana. Okay, so we're coming for Padangusthasana. So Padangusthasana is a full bending action. So the legs are hip width apart. And you're going to come forward into a full bending action. So put your hands, as you can see here, Leo's holding her frontal and pelvic rims, these hip bones here. Really important to lift the organic body up towards the chest. As much extension as possible. Roll your shoulders back and down. Hinge forward. And then, if you're able to, placing your hands onto the floor. Now, if this is really difficult, then you can place your hands either onto a chair, or if you haven't got any equipment, your shins or your thighs, or onto a couple of yoga bricks if you have them handy, like this. And you just stay in that position, but if you can go a little bit further, taking your hands to the floor, then do so. Put your, you're going to catch your big toes now with 2 fingers and thumb.
Like that, as though you're shooting a gun.
Absolutely.
They go between the big toe and the second toe. I always think it's like a lobster claw. Holding on.
Does look a little like that. So lifting your abdomen and moving these shoulder blades really, really strongly towards the back waist. So what we don't want to see, and we've shown this before in previous videos, is this. So we have to reinforce that you've got to kind of get this extension through the whole of the spine from traction. So you have to see that the shoulder blades move deeply towards the back waist and the back ribs move deeply towards the top of the shoulder area. Now, if you can't feel anything at this stage, don't worry about that. It will come eventually. So go on keeping those legs nice and straight. Keep that length through your body, and this action here is exactly what you're looking for when you start coming into your inversions eventually. So these simple poses, which we've been practicing today, are very important for your inversions. We're not going completely into the full action of Padangusthasana. We're coming out of the pose, keeping the legs really strong and straight, putting the hands onto the pelvic rims. Looking forward, chest forward, and coming forward. And standing in Tadasana. So you come with your feet together and you just take time to take a few deeper breaths and absorb some of the work. It's really nice when you come out of the poses because the channels are nice and open. And this is something that's so important with yoga, that it touches you, it changes from the outside in to start with.
But you should feel energized and light after doing a yoga pose. It shouldn't make you feel enervated or exhausted. You should feel calm, light, energized.
Yes. So that's what we have to progress to eventually. At first, is sometimes to chip away at that stiffness is quite challenging. All right, so we're coming for an abdominal strengthening action. Urdhva Prasarita Padasana. So Leo's going to show you here. Good. So when you're in this position, you've got to soften this abdomen. A lot of people think to practice abdominal work, you need to tighten your abdomen really strongly so it pokes out. You can see that it's not great action there. You've got to see that the whole of this lower abdomen just releases towards your spine. So we're showing you a very basic form of this pose. So when you're in this position, you bend your knees into your chest, place the belt around the feet, and reach the legs up. Good. So the legs need to go to 90. Now there's sometimes there can be a few issues going on, problems. You might bounce your bottom off the floor a little bit, yeah, and this may be lifted. If that's the case, you need to get yourself a cushion or a folded blanket and place underneath the buttock area just so that the sacrum can go down and you can get that lift and the abdomen remains soft. Leo doesn't actually need this, so I'm going to take this out and you keep the legs really nice and straight. Keep the chest lifted. Soft inhalation and exhalation. Keep the backs of the legs really nice and extended, pulling up the knees. So all four corners of the knees have got to be encouraged to lift in these poses so much. Now, if that's all going well, and there's a lightness, there's a softness in the abdomen, keep moving that abdomen towards the spine, keep moving it in, scoop it in from the base. Remember in yoga, your abdomen is about 3 inches underneath the belly button. Okay, the arms go above the head now. So you come into this Urdhva Hastasana action here. You should be able to be fairly relaxed in this pose. If your legs are really shaking, it's too challenging, then you get hold of the belt. That does happen, that's absolutely normal. It certainly is when we teach complete beginners, isn't it, Leo?
Yeah, absolutely. And if the hamstrings are very tight and the legs are down here, it will make your hands hurt a lot. So you can start out practicing, suppose, with the heels to the wall to start with. And that just gives you a little bit of extra support and you can stay in it for longer.
Yes, that's a very good idea. So I'm just going to show you a way, if you have got that softness in your abdomen and you are working fairly well, how to come into it with straight legs from the floor. Okay, so the arms, it's so important that the arms are reaching above your head. So you get so much length between these pelvic ribs and the lower rib area. And you've got to reach those legs away so everything is extended nicely. And then, remember, engage with that lower abdomen, take a breath in and lift the legs up. Yes. And pause. Now, so if this is an easy way or an easy option, then this is another way of practicing. This is true to the classic pose. You can stay in this for as long as you wish to, or you can do a few times, several times. It's quite nice to practice in that way. To come out of the pose, there's 2 options. You can either bend the legs at the knees if you find that it's just too much to do, or you can take the legs down very slowly. Take them slowly, slowly, slowly down. So change that length between the ribs and the pelvis. Yes. So a lot of people, when they get to about 30 degrees, the legs go right down to the floor. You've got to see that you keep that control all the way down and practice that. Great. And then you can release the arms down, roll to your right side and come into a seated position.
So Lynn sprung that one on me. I didn't know I was going to be doing the classic version of that.
Yeah, we had
Which is always very nice.
Okay, so we're coming to the end now of this sequence. This sequence is our complete beginners class 10, but also you can use this as a very basic way in to the inversions, which we will be filming and posting shortly.
So if you're finding that you're enjoying these videos, then please subscribe, please like them. If you find that you want something that's a little more structured, you can have a look at our website, which is myyogatutor.com, and we've got slightly more structured sequences on there. So thank you very much for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the sequence, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Namaste.